Well, let's talk about Corey.
It's fun. I mean, it's such a fun story. So you sent Corey my way, and she is the sweetest, most awesome person. Refinance transaction because she's recently gone through a divorce.
I've worked with her attorney for lots of years.
Okay.
And she called me and said, Lynn, I knew if anyone could help you, help me, help her, you could. And I kind of laughed internally, and I said, well, I can't do anything, but Dave can.
Well, we're a team. And thank you. I'm honored. But this turned into be such a cool thing. Besides the fact we were able to help her in so many great ways, right? Get the ex handled
because he's got equity in
position,
that house.
Right? Consolidate debt, reduced overall outgoing expenses. But United Wholesale Mortgage, which they're amazing, we constantly work with them. They're just awesome. They recently went public, and so in New York, they're having the big, ring the bell ceremony.
Opening bell.
Yeah, exactly. With, the founder and CEO, Matt Ishaba, which is just, he's amazing, right? So he puts out this invitation and says, look, I'm gonna invite 100. There's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of mortgage professionals that send business into literally the largest mortgage operation in the world, right? UWM. And I'm gonna pick 100, based on stories you share. And I shared Corey's story, and it really impacted me from the very moment that I met her. So when that came out, I was like, this is easy. I've got this story, but so you sent her my way. I talked to her. It's kind of late. It's like 7:30 at night when she's gets off work and she's a very hard worker. Wow. And we're having a discussion. We're, 15 minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes into it, and she's emotional. So I'm already just like, my heart's like, oh my gosh. She's telling me her story, 5 kids. She works in construction. She actually drives large equipment, like huge equipment, like a loader. And she just cannot get her head around, if she can't make this work, how is this going to work for her kids?
Right, because they'll have nowhere to go.
And it was, I went from, I have a new client to, oh my God, this is one of those, you're responsible clients, we're responsible for all of our clients,
Sure.
but this one just, it had a lot of emotion. Anyway, long story short, I take the app. She's literally working in this huge equipment. You're hearing the beeping and all that stuff. And she just goes. I mean, she just goes all day, works extra, and then she goes at home. And I'm listening to how she talks to her kids, and it's wonderful. And she just gives her all, and it was just a story I want to share. So I ended up sharing it with UWM and Matt, and it won. And so that's the story that I ended up getting an invitation to actually go to New York and be a part of that ring the bell ceremony with UWM.
That's so exciting.
It
Did
really
you tell
is.
them the taco story
No.
and the spaghetti story?
No, I didn't. Well, I mean, that's a part of the story.
Right.
Yeah. There was a lot of really neat things about that. We're on the phone. I'm on the phone with her. We're working on the loan, and kids are running up. Mom, what's for dinner? And she's like, well, on Monday we had tacos. On Tuesday we had spaghetti and meatballs. On Wednesday we had, so she's like, pick whatever you want, because we have all of those things that you guys haven't ate yet. No, it was great. She's just a sweet lady, and I was honored to be able to help, and thank you for sending over such an important transaction. But it just had such a reward, not only from being able to help, but also, to be able to share that with such an amazing organization and be a part of that. So
that is really exciting. And her attorney, who's one of my clients I've worked with for more than 20 years, and she called me when I had left her a message that just said, hey, we're going to take care of Corey. And she called me back, and she was in tears.
Oh, wow.
It's a family law attorney who is tough as nails. I've never, ever heard her cry. And she's just all weepy on the phone. It was amazing.
Yeah, I'm so thrilled that all of us would be a part of it. Yeah.
Well, that's what really makes what we do so rewarding is the relationships that we have the opportunity to be involved in. And there are so many of those great relationships, but lately we've been seeing some kind of crazy people show up, right?
Oh, I think I think there's something going on. Bobby, you kind of clued in on this too, and I agree. Like, there's something going on. You know how like social media gets like some thing that takes root, and then everybody just thinks that it's like reality.
Yes.
Like something has taken root somewhere. I don't know what it is. I don't really watch a lot of these things, but I hear about them or I get them sent to me. Right.
Sure.
But something's taken root where there's like I call it the doomsdayer home buyer. Right. And I keep hearing this. You're hearing this. Bobby, you're hearing this. You just told me about a story of this where people are like, yeah, so I'm going to wait because the whole entire housing market is about to completely collapse. Worse than 2008.
It's the bottom feeders.
It's like, wow. Like, what's going on? Fundamentally, I mean, I'm lost. I mean,
well, it makes no sense because you and I are looking at the numbers every day.
Mm-hmm.
They're still in many, many markets. And the markets that you and I work in most, there's still a housing shortage.
Oh, for sure.
And people still have a really great income. We don't have all of the subprime lending that we had going on in 2006, 2007.
We have the opposite. We have a whole bunch of people in AAA paper mortgages at 2.9%.
Yeah.
That will never stop paying for that and don't want to sell their property.
No, they don't.
I mean, that's all just going to collapse. I was like, what? So I don't know. It's frustrating. It takes, it's okay. It's no big deal, but it does take us a lot of time to pull up a lot of reports with folks and be like, I don't know where, you and I have said this before. If we could have just a little bit of a reprieve and get some more inventory, our lives would be a billion times better from standpoint of from simplicity, right?
Yes.
So you got the Fed trying like hell to slow down the economy. They got the brakes on this sucker. Smoke's coming off the brakes. It's just and we're still charging along. We're getting a little bit more unemployment. We're getting a little bit more free, a little bit looser, labor pool. But you look at everything else, and there's still, as much as we've spent COVID savings, there's still natural savings of trillions of dollars. I just saw a report on, I think it was Friday, like you and I watch these really obscure economic reports, right? Kind of get a track on things. And it was the TSA report. Like, you go through TSA, right? Before you get on a flight. They broke a record last week of travelers in the history of the world.
It's amazing. The two airports that I fly in and out of most have both, shattered records in the number of clients that they've had coming through.
Yeah. People are working. People are making money. They're spending. They're even putting money in their savings. They're traveling like crazy. And they're dealing with it with higher inflation and higher interest rates.
And I'm pretty sure I saw a report the other day that we had the first increase in productivity in over a decade. That's
exactly right. We're seeing the trailing edge of AI and some other technologies that, there was a 700% increase in industrial innovation during COVID because there was nothing else to do, right? And now we're starting to see some of the byproduct of that, or some of the results of that, right? And then of course AI will amplify that, So and there's, without question, there's negative numbers, and without question, a lot of households, and you hear Jerome Powell really talk about this a lot. This is hurting middle America. This high inflation, right? And that's what we have to get control of, right?
That's true. But when you take a look at the quality of life for middle America now compared to even the 60s and the 70s,
Oh,
we
geez.
have a better quality of life now than we've ever had.
Without question. There's and we need, as a society, need to, instead of taking TikTok and Instagram as the like definitive conclusion of information, we need to start actually reading the data,
No.
the reports,
No.
the information. No,
No, they need,
That's not
they
fun
need
enough?
to listen to both sides of the fence.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay. No, that's I look at the data, to your point. I mean, we see a lot of bad things that happen in the world. You look at the data, per capita, it's the lowest the numbers have ever been. More people have everything they need. More people have way more wants and all the different wants and, different things like that. Not suggesting that there's not issues, but overall, when we look at a market, the housing market, with all of a sudden there's this big wave of folks saying that it's all going to collapse. I'm like what is going to collapse? What's going to collapse? And I say that, I'm like, what exactly is going to collapse? All the house prices are going to come down.
Well, Mike,
Wow, that'd be a miracle.
I met with my business coach again this morning, and he made a comment that he's made to me before, but I've never listened to it before, but I actually heard it today, where he said, 80 to 90% of what everyone worries about never happens.
No, yeah, I think it's definitely 90 plus.
So he just says, go out and go back to work. Focus on positive things.
Now, I've heard that both ways, by the way. I've heard that 90% of your exuberance is 80 to 90% of your exuberance.
That's true.
is exuberant, and 80 to 90% of your fear and worries and issues are a waste of time as well.
We all overestimate what we can do.
Sure, absolutely. Anyway, I just want to mention that because I for whatever reason, I feel like the last month, it's just like I keep hearing it everywhere.
Well, but there's also one more out there, and that is, I know that I'm getting these, and I'm sure you are, which is, I want the $250,000 house.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, that is such a difficult one. And it's interesting. Different agents that I work with, they kind of have their level of, and you and I call them underbuyers.
Yes.
Right? Like, we've finally put a term to this. They're underbuyers. Why are they underbuyers? Well, they qualify for a home that is in their market, wherever they're at. They could be in Arkansas.
Well,
They could be in northern Utah. They could be in Colorado. They could be in Texas, and they're like, all those homes are 350 to 750 is kind of in the mid band. Right. And 350 is tough. 350 is really, like, here it's impossible.
Yes.
Here it's just not, it's really not possible. And unless, there's one in Arkansas. You sent the agent my way, and she sent me a deal, and she said,
Brenda.
This one was actually Natalie, I think.
Oh, okay. Natalie.
And she literally was like, yeah, no, that house is not going to work. We, standing in the living room, saw daylight out of the walls. And the client qualifies for, qualifies for the price of the home in that market, in Bentonville, I think it was, or somewhere in that market. And which was, the homes out there are 400, 500, 750,
Sure, you got a beautiful house in that price range.
Absolutely. You get down still in that market to 350, it gets difficult. You get down to 250, and it's virtually impossible. But you have folks that are like, we're seeing a lot of people that are like, yeah, I qualify for 500 or 450. I'm going to go for 250. Now, I understand, and I really appreciate people not maxing themselves out. That's smart. That's just smart.
But that's the difference between what they can qualify for and what their target price is, which is just plain smart.
It's just plain smart. What I'm struggling with is when they're trying to find the impossible, and if they do try to find it, the property is so messed up. And this is my question for you. If they found a $250,000, $225,000 home, some are $200,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of tilting a little. Like, what is, aside from the fact of what you've got to do to appreciate that property, what's likely going to happen from an appreciation standpoint? Is that $250,000 property going to, if let's say they fixed it up and make it look really great and got it straightened up and, you know, all the things they need to do, are they going to have a big gain on that property more than they would, say, if they found a property for $375,000 or $425,000, which is more the market?
Depends on the neighborhood. And I just put a property under contract in Arkansas near Beaver Lake that was a to the studs demo.
Renovation demo.
Renovation.
Got it.
And I just put that under contract at $178,000, but they're going to have to put in $200,000 easily into that house.
So it's $378,000 at the end of the day,
right? But all the other properties in that neighborhood are from $400,000 to over $1 million. So they're going to be just fine, thank you.
Got it. Okay.
But then there are, well, one of the clients I sent you last week, a new client that I started working with, was exactly what you're talking about. He qualified at $400,000, could get him a beautiful house at that. We started walking through homes in the $250,000 range, which are also what you described with, you know, no appliances and holes in the walls, and even the covers for the electrical receptacles are gone.
Or there's not environmental controls.
Right.
Like,
Everything's
right.
gone.
Yeah.
Everything's gone. And so he was discouraged. And I said, well, you know, I mean, at this price point, that's what you're going to get. I spent a couple of days with him, and finally, it was worse than that because he wanted somebody to pay his closing costs. He didn't want to have to put any money down. He didn't. And I sent him to you. You gave him a great rate on a conventional loan.
Yeah.
And finally, late Saturday night, it just became clear to me that it was the lion chasing the mice syndrome, which is, you know, a lion can live for a while by eating mice.
Yeah.
But he expends so much energy doing that eventually he starves to death.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I finally just said to him, you know, we're just not a good fit because I can't get you what you want.
Well, and to your point, they're also, I think that they think, I'm going to buy this $250,000, I'm going to spend $25,000, and I'm going to have a $400,000 house. And it's more like, no, you're going to end up very potentially in a good situation. That one situation where the other properties are $400,000 and $1 million in that neighborhood, that's a good base structure to start from. But you're still going to spend a couple $100,000. So you're still $378,000 to $400,000, and you might end up with a home worth $550,000. So that's great. But are you into a project that's going to take $200,000? Well,
no one you are. But no one understands that. I was with a client in a flooring store the other day. It's been 2 or 3 weeks. And I looked at her and I said, what you want to do is going to cost you $50,000. She looked at me and said,
"You're crazy."
Yeah, you're crazy. So we're sitting in the furniture store. We're meeting with the sales guy, and he comes back and he shows her the figure. And I heard her say, "Don't show this to Lynn. Could you bring it in just a little bit?"
It was $49,999.
Could you bring it in just a little bit lower so he's not right?
No, you do it every single day. You know, you've done this so long, and you've seen these prices, on materials just skyrocket, and on top of that, everything takes 3 times as long to get anything done. So, if it's like what you were telling me about your daughter still, right? You're like, we're going to build it and it's going to take this long. I was like, that long? And you're like, yeah, it's going to take that long. I was like, wow, I really need to reset myself on construction times. But renovation probably even takes longer. I mean, if it's a new build, there's a lot of organization around it. You got a general contractor, a lot of control of the subs. I mean, if you're doing a reno and you even have a good, and you even have a really good, there's one of our clients right there. We'll call her back here in just a second. You have a really good, say, renovation contractor. You're looking at a longer time, probably 3 times longer than it took pre-COVID. You know, and yes,
easily.
we're far past COVID and all this stuff. What we're not, we haven't rebuilt and changed the mechanism of housing and renovations and all that. It's still screwed up.
Well, we lost a lot of workers during COVID.
Yeah, tons of them.
A lot of international workers left the United States and went home.
Good point. Yeah.
And that's so hard to believe when you hear the stories about the border every day and all these people coming. But the skilled workers left.
Yeah.
And we haven't gotten all those skilled workers back. And the birth rate now in the United States is below replacement.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want work done, you know, it's not little Johnny and Sally growing up in the neighborhood who are going to do it anymore.
No. Nobody wants to do it. And you just have to be patient. Now, that's expensive too.
Yes.
Unless you have $200,000, like in that example where he's buying a $178,000 house, has to spend $200,000 getting it fixed.
It'll take him a year and a half.
A year and a half. So hopefully you have the cash for that. If not, you got interest, carry costs on that.
Yes.
So add that on top of it. And that's where I feel like, these, what we kind of see as underbuyers, right? We just, my sense is if you would just go find that house that needs, it doesn't have to be toothbrush ready. Like we call it, like you put a glass, throw your toothbrush in it, and everything else in the house is perfect. I'm good. It's toothbrush ready, right? That's very expensive, right? But getting into a property that is in the market price that needs maybe some flooring, maybe a little paint, maybe a couple of like fixtures here and there that match your style a little bit better. That's quite a bit different. I mean, that could be a $25,000.
Yeah, but we still have supply chain issues with flooring and
all that
and
stuff.
Other things.
Yeah, it still takes a lot of time.
Yeah, there's sometimes you're out 2-3 months just for flooring.
And my point is, though, you're in the home that is mostly the way you want it.
Yes.
And you're not going to spend a year and a half and $200,000 getting to the end of that. And yeah, it looks great and everything's fine, but you've spent a lot more, I think. And I think you also were without the home you needed for a lot longer. And I just think a lot of people want to underbuy, and in their mind, they're like, it's only going to cost this much to get it where I want it, and I'm going to have it done by Christmas. And I think and you talk to them and you're like, that's kind of what we're seeing. But to your point, they don't believe you.
A lot of them don't. But I was on the phone with a client this morning, and it's another divorce, and her husband is being vindictive, and
it's terrible.
She said, Lynn, this may take us 5 years. And I said, that's okay with me. I'm going to be here. And she says, I believe that, and I trust you. So I'm glad you're here. So one of the things that we offer, and this is so frustrating to me because you and I try to be a trusted advisor. Yeah. And not everybody does. There are transaction-based people. All they want is the money. Yeah. But we're in it for the relationship. Mm-hmm. And so last time when we were talking, we talked about agency. And people don't really understand agency. But to you and I, what agency means is that we're your trusted advisor and we're going to tell you the truth. And we can do things that other people can't. I mean, we have relationships with community banks, for example. Mm-hmm. where in specific markets we can get them a construction
Yeah,
loan.
we syndicate with
Yeah.
them and can do construction lending in different markets and stuff. Yeah.
And then we have takeout funding that nobody else can match. So we have experienced such a broad and broadness and depth of experience and relationships that's really what you're paying for.
Yeah.
And it gets frustrating to me when people don't understand agency. And in my brokerage in Bentonville, we were having some discussions on agency the other day, and one of the managing brokers said, well, what you need to say to them is that, you're paying me for my expertise. And I said, wait a second. No one's paying us for our expertise. What they're paying us for is performance.
Yeah.
And the reason that we can perform is because
we have expertise.
And we have expertise in relationships.
Yeah.
So another client called me today.
Such a good point.
Such a tragic story. Their son, who worked at the University of Arkansas Medical School, just passed away.
No.
And they were sitting at home late at night, packing, ready to go to Illinois to visit family. And they got a call from one of his friends, and she was there with him in the emergency room. And none of the doctors knew what was going on. They didn't know what was going on. And the husband, the parents, the dad, heard his son flatline on the telephone.
Oh, no.
So they were just devastated. And so for them, and I sold him a house about a little over a year ago. And so they're having to take care of some things. And so for them to call me and say, like this morning, say, Lynn, we need a window replaced. We've called a couple of people and no one will do it for us. They don't have time. Can you help us? And, I pick up the phone and I call a guy in Fayetteville, and he says, I'll call him right now. I'll get it taken care of. And so when you have those kind of relationships and that kind of agency relationship, your life is a lot easier.
When you can really help.
Yes.
And yeah.
So people, I'm hoping that over the coming months, people will begin to understand agency more and understand that agency is not a trap to make sure that, a buyer or a seller can't go work with someone else, but that they have a trusted advisor that's watching out for everything for them. And I love the story about Corey, because Corey was at a loss. She didn't know what to do. Her attorney didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But we're able to take care of her, make sure that her kids have a place to sleep and be safe, make sure they have a place where they can have food in the refrigerator, a place where they have more value than just money. They have familial relationships that would have been damaged beyond repair in some cases had they not had trusted advisors to step in and help them. And you know what? You know how much money I made in that transaction, Dave?
Yeah, none.
None.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know you didn't make that much money.
Yeah.
With refis, you don't make that much money.
Yeah.
But the relationship that we maintained and increased as a result of helping them will pay us, well beyond what we had ever hoped.
Without question. And I love what you just said, and what a, we get involved, and you get involved with their lives, and these transactions take weeks sometimes, and you really get to know the family. You really get to know when these sort of things happen. You want to be there for them in every single way. And I think it's incredible what you just said, where they're not paying for your expertise. Like, you don't have a sign out there saying, here's the list of expertise and here's the menu of those of this expertise, and here's how much you're going to pay for each one of them. Right.
Right.
And that they meet you, Maybe they were referred to you by somebody that had a great experience with you or me or both of us. And they have the first transaction with us. So first transaction is kind of the getting to know us, getting to know who we are. And they have all these choices out there, right? So they meet us and I think they quickly become comfortable. We're very transparent. We've got decades of experience. We could quickly show them what to look out for. And to your point, we have those connections, right?
Yes.
That just make things happen quicker than anybody else can. So they're like, okay, that's cool. But at the end of the day, with people that are first transaction people, they're always kind of shopping us even throughout the transaction.
That's right.
Right?
Always.
And that's fine. I mean, I think that that's totally cool. My job is to get to the end of the transaction and, it's a celebration and it went well. And I get really great 5-star Google reviews with, paragraphs of, happiness. And, that's really what we're aiming for. And we get through that and we're really aiming for the second transaction, or maybe somebody within their friends or family they send over, because that's like a second transaction. If they're saying to their friends and family, okay, stop, hold the presses, go see Lynn and Dave, right? That's what we're aiming for. And you think about what they're doing, and they're putting their reputation on the line with the people they care about the most, right? To say, you need to go over here because they're going to help you. That makes it feel more like a second transaction, even if it's a first-time home buyer or the first time you and I have ever worked with them. But there are those folks that, you and I do a lot of marketing. We meet a lot of new people, and they like what they hear, but are you who I'm going to be working with, right? And so that shopping's going on, and it's important, though, that once they find really what's going to work well for them and a team that has the experience and connections to be able to achieve the goals and objectives and talk straight, like not just looking for the transaction. Yeah, go ahead and close on that $275,000 deal that you're going to have to spend another $150,000 on. Let's get the reality on the table.
Yes.
It's going to be more than $50,000 to achieve anything that you're thinking of. So let's make sure that we're comparing that to a house that might already be further down the road and quite a bit more buttoned up for what you're looking for. Agency is important. Agency becomes really important. There can be relationships out there. We get them where nothing has gone right. We look at what they've been told or shown or whatever, and it's a bag of goods. And first question out of our mouth is, did you sign anything?
That's true.
Right. And too often we hear, oh yeah, I signed some papers. I'm not sure what they were. And it's like, well, there's not a lot we can do then.
Boy, we hear that a lot, don't we?
It's too bad. And I think what I hear you saying is not sign agency with us because we're awesome. Right? I hear what you're saying is, please do your research and read everything you're signing before you sign it when you're doing a real estate transaction.
And make sure you're working with a trusted advisor.
Yes, exactly.
So
and that you're happy with, who they are. They've got a great reputation. Maybe, you could, if I met a new agent, I would say, can you give me a couple of your clients' names so that I could call them and see how it went?
That would be great.
Something like that,
What breaks my heart is when I get the call from someone that I know, and they say, Lynn, I need help in this transaction. And I say, well, I think you have an agent, do you not? And they say, yes, I do. And I say, I'm sorry, I can't help you. But she doesn't know what you know.
Yeah.
And I say, I'm sorry.
Right.
If you want to have her give me permission to talk to you, I can do that. But I really don't want to do that because I'm taking on liability and
that's right.
And I'm not being paid.
It could be a family member or something that you're just trying to help.
Almost always is.
Yeah.
So that call breaks my heart every time because I just cannot help them.
Yeah.
But people have some options with agency. Some agents will come and say, well, you have to sign this buyer's agency agreement with me for for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're feeling trapped. Well, there are other options. You could sign a buyer's agency agreement for one house
Yeah.
or for a week, whatever it is. And so you can get to know who that agent is.
Yeah.
And you can decide if you work well together. I'm sure there are people out there that would not work well with me. And,
What?
and they're just not my, they wouldn't be my client.
Blasphemy.
But it's true.
Everyone loves Lynn. Another thing too that I think people are not doing it's just sort of tactical is leveraging AI and tools like ChatGPT. Like if somebody wanted me to sign like a big 4-page agency document, I would say, send it to me digital. I would copy the whole thing, stick it in chat and say, will you give me a summary of this?
Yeah, that's a great way to use that.
And chat will literally bullet point all the major considerations. Here's
Dave,
what you're doing.
Did you know that you're giving away your third child?
I'm telling you what, that has saved, that is such an awesome tool. Chat in our industry. Oh my gosh. I'll get a contract in. I copy the whole purchase contract, stick it into chat and say, tell me everything that's important that I need to know. I'll literally say it that way. I'll be like, well, you're closing on this date. You've got this thing. You've got a repair here. You got this. You got this. It's all bullet pointed. I stick it in my CRM. So I just have all the bullet. It takes like 2 seconds. Like there's so many papers and so many disclosures and people don't read them.
No, they don't.
And now they've got a tool that will literally read it for them and it'll even voice it back to them. Like in summary, like here's what you're doing.
Well,
this is what you need to look out for.
I got a call from an agent I've worked with for more than 15 years. And she said, Lynn, has everyone gone crazy? I said, well, not everyone, but
I'm a little crazy.
But, it was a seller that she was working with, and they had 4 different properties they wanted to hire her for. And one of them was an attorney. So he started marking out on the contract. And she says, I don't know what to do about this. I said, well, you know that our attorneys will not allow lined out contracts.
Yeah.
She says, well, then I can't get the agreement. And I said, you can.
Yeah.
All you have to say to him is, look, we have an addendum. We can make all the changes that you want on this addendum.
Yeah.
And it will do the same thing, but it will be clean and easy.
Mm-hmm.
So having a trusted advisor makes all the difference for you. And you need to work with a trusted advisor, not just have agency with some person.
Some person that will take the time to be the person that will share all of the details of what it is that you're getting into. This is what this means. This is how the transaction, will go, and really make sure that they are, given a moment, right? Show them that, look, you can go put this into chat. You can get a summary of it to make sure it's exactly what I told you. I think those are opportunities to gain trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then once you're there, it's just important that you're with you've dialed in that agency with the right individual.
Yes.
And that also kind of matches your personality and characteristics of, you got to get along through this process. I mean, God forbid buying a home or remodeling or something could be fun.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Aim for it constantly.
Sure.
It's like my goal. I want every client to have fun. I really try to make it fun. But
and you do.
Well, thank you. It should be a fun thing.
But, you and I work in the same way. I work with you because you're my trusted advisor.
Vice versa.
And we have fun working together.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Even on the tough days, we, try to find a way to, take the energy, like find a laugh in there somewhere, right?
It's not, typically it's not life and death.
No, it's not. It's not. Everything works out.
It does.
Yeah.
And even when people don't get the house that they originally wanted, I mean, I say to them, there's a reason that it didn't work out. We don't know what the reason is yet, but the right house is coming for you. And when we find it, you'll know.
I like that.
You'll know that it's the right house.
I like that.
It's a true
I like
principle.
that. Yeah. Jen actually, she's in Missouri now, so different
Yes.
set of folks. But she kind of had that experience. Yeah. And then the right one came around.
Yes.
And it was exactly that. And you told her that.
And
I think that's cool.
and she's an example of someone that, you know, I've been friends with for probably 20 years. And she was all embarrassed. She says, Lynn, I'm sorry I can't work with you.
Yeah.
But I know you're not licensed in Missouri. And I said, no, I'm not, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to have been able to help her
Yeah.
because, I mean, I love her. She's a great
No,
person.
she's awesome. The whole family's awesome.
Yeah.
It's been fun working with them. Well, man, this it's, as always, you know, we sit down and we never have even 2 minutes to talk about what we're going to talk about. And next thing you know, an hour plus just blinks by.
It's always wonderful. And
It's been a blast.
I love getting great advice from you while we're doing this.
Oh, man, me too. Me too. I literally learn from you still, like, almost daily.
Me too.
It's awesome. I appreciate it so much.
Good to spend time with you again.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Until next time.
Okay.
All right, man.